Welcome, Binge Watchers, where we talk about the stories and characters we love and the shows they live in. My name is Ron, and let's talk about a few shows I quit pretty much right after I started watching them. Before we get into the video, I wanted to get your thoughts about something. I'm thinking about making a few videos about Netflix original films and other movies that are exclusive to streaming services. I want to keep this channel focused on TV shows, but I thought it would be fun to also include films that you can only find on Netflix and its competitors. I don't really want to do reviews for big theatrical releases. There are already so many great channels that do that. So let me know what you think. So we invest a lot of time in TV shows, and the way I see it, if the show is good and you enjoy it, that time is not wasted. And shows can be good in many different ways. I would say that many shows are not even on the same scale and can't really be compared. That's one of the reasons I don't really use a rating system in the reviews. But some shows you're just like, this is not working. Let's just part ways. I don't think we should spend any more time together. It's you, it's not me. So here are a few shows where this happened for me. And this is not just about shitting on these shows. Maybe a little bit, because, you know, that's fun to do sometimes. But this is mostly about getting your thoughts in the comments. Did you also quit on these shows? Do you think I should give them another chance? Maybe they didn't even look interesting enough for you to start watching them in the first place. Okay, first up is Van Helsing. I really like supernatural elements in shows and stories in general, and I was looking for something that had a cool supernatural vibe to it, and I found two shows that looked like they fit the bill. One of them was Van Helsing. The other one, unfortunately, is also on this list. So Van Helsing has a cool concept. It tells the story of Vanessa Helsing, I think the daughter or some sort of descendant of Abraham Van Helsing, the famous vampire hunter. She wakes up from a coma and finds the world dominated by vampires, but she has this special blood that makes her immune to vampirism, and also she can turn vampires back to humans. So she's really our only hope. And she's also a total ass-kicking badass. I kind of want to watch this show again just by talking about how cool the premise is. But I watched the first episode and I was like, I don't know about this. Maybe the show is too ambitious with the concept and they don't really have the budget to follow through. And I also got the feeling that they really rely on overused tropes. And I don't expect the writing and performance to be incredible, but I remember thinking, oh, this is rough. So this next show was my next attempt at the same thing, and it's Winona Earth. Now, it's frustrating because both of these shows have pretty good reviews, so maybe I should just, push forward with them, but I don't really like this concept of, oh, it only gets good in season 2, because, time is valuable. Winona Earp, I think, suffered from the same issues as Van Helsing. I watched the two first episodes of this one. The premise here is also pretty cool. Winona is the descendant of Wyatt Earp, and the people he killed are coming back as these revenants, and she has to send them back to hell. But the way that characters make decisions, the way that they react to stuff, the way that they convince each other of things, none of that made sense or felt like actual people talking. I think it's perfectly fine for a show to be crazier than real life, especially a show with a cool supernatural premise that's supposed to be entertaining and fun, but I still think that characters really do need to make sense. The next show I watched a single episode of and stopped is the Shannara Chronicles. It looked like a fun, maybe a bit silly, high fantasy adventure, and it kind of is, but it's also kind of bad, and I feel bad saying that. If you've been watching Binge Watchers for a while, I don't usually spend a lot of time talking about shows not being good or, being bad. A lot of hard work goes into making something like this, but this was bad. This was kind of like when I was in high school and my friends and I played D&D and we did it in English, and let me remind you, I am not American, I'm Israeli. So to us, it felt like we were killing it and we were so cool, but I'm sure that if you were watching us from the side, you would cringe out of existence. And that is the level of writing and performances in the Shannara Chronicles. So I watched one episode and nope. Maybe you're noticing a theme here of shows with magical or supernatural stuff in them that are not quite the thing I'm looking for. this next show is The Magicians. Like the others, I think this show suffers from a rushed plot. They want to get to the next cool thing, or they want someone to say a cool line, so they don't really spend any time making sure that the characters make sense or their actions make sense. And I really had a hard time watching the main guy in this show. I feel like that's a miscast character. I read that the book series this is based on is pretty good and not a ripoff of a bunch of other stuff. But that's kind of what the show feels like. It's about a bunch of young people going to a magic school, and there are good magicians and bad ones and lots of things that feel like they were just picked out from other franchises. I watched the 2 first episodes while I was on a flight, and I couldn't watch further, and that's saying something, because when you're on a flight, you've pretty much already forfeited your time. This last show is not a supernatural show. Maybe it kind of is, considering how convenient everything that happens is and how everyone is supernaturally attractive. It's the supermodel boot camp Quantico. Now, you might already be familiar with my aversion to shows with 22 episode seasons, so a show has to be pretty special if I'm gonna watch so many episodes in one season. Fringe is one such show. Person of Interest is mostly another. Not sure about Quantico though. So the episodes I did watch are part present day. There was a terrorist attack. They think it was this FBI agent. She's trying to prove it wasn't her. It might have been another FBI agent. And it's part American Pie FBI training boot camp. And I just could not watch the boot camp parts. This is a well-produced show. It looks good. It has an impressive cast of supermodels. And it's very intentionally over the top. I know it's supposed to be more entertaining than compelling. It's not trying to be Homeland or anything, but at some point the plot started feeling it's convoluted just for the sake of being convoluted, and that's kind of where I checked out. I'm not saying these are all bad shows. Shannara, I suspect, is a bad show, but the rest of them, maybe I just had a bad first impression. All of these shows, except for the Shannara Chronicles, have really good numbers on Rotten Tomatoes, for example. So I put the question to you. Do they deserve another chance? What are some of the shows that you started and then just checked out, and why did you stop watching them? That's all I got for you this time. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps out a lot, and you can find me on Twitter and Instagram and TV Time. And if you're finding Binge Watchers for the first time, welcome. I'd like to invite you to join the Binge Watchers community. Come talk about TV with us. It's a lot of fun. Subscribe to the channel. But in any case, keep binging, and I will see you in Supermodel FBI Bootcamp.